And of course, the clock tower is the predominant building on campus, taller than any other place, I think. The clock was installed, I think, in about 1905 or 1906. And we've always had an employee from engineering who was familiar with the clock and knew how to wind it and keep it repaired. The clock tower also houses the mess hall, and the mess hall was set up to actually be capable of feeding 2,500 veterans. I think the maximum that we ever fed on one particular day was about 2,200 veterans. But each building was organized as a military company, and each building had a time to come to the mess hall, which would give the workers in the mess hall time to clean the tables, clear them, and get ready for the next company to eat. So they had about 20 to 30 minutes to line up, get in, eat, and get back out so that the staff could clean the table. The tables didn't have chairs, they had little stools. And it got to be sort of like church in a way. When people have their own pew, they want to sit in all the time. Well, these veterans had their own stools they wanted to sit in all the time. And there sometimes were problems with new veterans coming in and sitting on the wrong stool. Well, the soldiers' home originally had well over 200 acres, and they had a big garden that the veterans from the Dom operated. So they grew a lot of their own vegetables to use in the mess hall. We also had over 200 head of Jersey cattle, and the veterans tended the cattle and milked them, and they provided milk and made their own milk and butter here for the mess hall. The meals were pretty much like the agrarian society of America was at that time, in that it was a pretty hearty breakfast of meat and potatoes and things of that, bread, and lunch was heavy on meat and potatoes, and supper was extremely light. They have maybe just a bread and a few vegetables, and I think they were pickles and things like that. But you went to bed on a light supper, but you worked during the day, so you had a heavy breakfast and lunch. Well, we had a good budget for food, and the beef was bought locally, but and some of the vegetables were bought locally from farms, and we raised a lot of our own vegetables in the garden. There was a certain amount of pride in that the home could produce enough for itself that they actually turned money back into Washington, or at least tried to. Sometimes there was no place to put it once it was allocated, but they had excess money because of the way the home operated. It was self-sufficient. It was called a city within a city. They had their own water system, their own sewer system,